Call to order. Kayla Okens, can you please do roll call?
Supervisor Coble,
Here.
Supervisor Ortner,
Here.
Chairperson Friday,
Here,
Supervisor Burton. Here. And Supervisor Joy.
Here.
I can verify that proper notice was given. Can I get a motion to approve agenda?
Make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Number 5, public comment limited to 15 minutes. Is there any public comment?
I'd like to make a comment. Oh, I'm not public.
You're not allowed. Number 6, motion and roll call vote to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is involved. Branton Eisenhofer legal team discussion regarding Tyco JCI litigation. Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second. Roll call vote. Kayla Okens.
Supervisor Joy,
Yes.
Supervisor Burton,
Yes.
Chairperson Friday,
Yes.
Supervisor Ortner,
Yes.
Supervisor Coble.
Yes. Roads.
Did you pause it last time? Edie?
Yeah,
Is
instead
this
of,
time?
yeah,
Good.
instead of stopping it. I didn't mean to stop it last time, then I was like.
All right, so to conclude the special meeting, there was no action to be announced in open session. Our regular monthly board meeting will follow at 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Adjourn. Oh, no, that's okay. Gonna call the meeting to order.
On that twice.
Pledge allegiance to the flag. Kayla Okens, could you please do roll call?
Supervisor Coble,
Here.
Supervisor Ortner,
Here.
Chairperson Friday,
Here.
Supervisor Burton. Here. Supervisor Joy.
Here.
Can you confirm that there was proper notice given?
Yes, I can confirm.
Anybody opposed to the agenda?
So move.
Okay, then, if there's no opposition, then we'll go by unanimous consent. Public comment limited to 15 minutes. I currently have 7:01. In-person attendees only may speak for 3 minutes per person with no time donations, agenda items only. Please come to the front to the microphone and speak clearly. Start by stating name and address. Any public comment?
One three six nine Raider Road, Marion, Wisconsin. First of all, I'd like to thank you, board, for restating the public comment portion of the agenda. I think it's very important that the public be heard at these meetings. Second, I thank Gail Burton for all the time that she has spent as a township supervisor. You did a great job. And last, I am here as a representative of the Northern Lights Master Gardener Association. And I would like to let Wendell Johnson know that he can count on the Master Gardeners to assist him in any way needed on the Kowalski Walk.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Okay, we will move on. Announcements, I did put some things in the supervisor's mailboxes. Board of Review certification in the past, WTA used to do that separate. But now they are doing it in conjunction with their district meetings. We need at least one board member to attend the training every year. I did sign up for Friday, February 16th in Green Bay. But certainly if anybody else wishes to sign up, please let Jody know, and she can get that registration done for you. I also put in your mailbox, it was in WTA's magazine, proposed recycling rule changes, but I wasn't able to see exactly what the rule changes were. Just based on what they had sent out, but. And then also there's a spring road school, the end of April into May 1st. I put that in Jimmer and Daryl's mailbox since you guys are road supervisors. Any other announcements? Then we'll move on to number 8. Minute approval. This is pages 1 through 4 in your packet. One change that I think needs to be made on the December 19th. On page 2 of that, under 19B. I would like to have it say price and hours of operation changes available in the newsletter, because we did go through the hours of operation in the calendar. So unless there are any other changes, I would like to make a motion that we approve those minutes with that change.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Is there any opposition to approving January 4th minutes as they stand? Otherwise, we'll do unanimous consent. Unanimous consent takes it. Fire department report, that is on page 5 of your packet.
I will be brief as long as you do have a copy of the report in the
Yep.
packet. Since your last board meeting, we did have 5 calls, so that's actually a low number for us. One was a structure fire this morning that we were out on in the cold weather. We had 1 vehicle crash, and we had 3 alarm activations for gas and or carbon monoxide. So just a reminder to folks, this is the season that furnaces are running, wood stoves are cooking, you know, a lot of stuff going on in your residences. Please listen to those alarms. If you should have smoke alarms, you should have carbon monoxide alarms, gas detectors. If those go off, believe them, call us, we will come out there. We have found some problems with furnaces, and you know, we try to keep people safe that way. All of our trucks, all of our apparatus is ready to go for cold weather and winter operations, so we're ready. We did purchase a couple Milwaukee battery powered rocket power lights this last month through some donations and fundraising. So everybody that, and there's so many people that help contribute to that, we really appreciate that. Those are some expensive devices, certainly going to help us when we get out on nighttime operations. We conducted training last night for our firefighters on firefighter survival and rescue techniques. We completed fire inspections of all of our town businesses and occupancies by the end of December, so that's done for this period of time. And we still have our smoke alarm program going on that we will come out to residences and install smoke alarms at no cost to our residents. We haven't been having a lot of requests on that, but we still have some detectors that are still available. In just a few minutes, we're going to be giving out some life safety awards and some unit accomplishment awards. And right now we currently stand at 21 volunteer firefighters, and we are accepting applications.
All right. Then we will move on to the life-saving awards.
Hey, Chairperson Friday, members of the town board, thank you for this opportunity. I asked some of my guys to come in here. We're gonna, I'm gonna tell the story of what happened here and why these guys are getting this award. I would ask you to keep in mind that these guys are volunteers. They do what they do, not for the pay, not for the recognition, not because they wear capes or anything like that. But to me, they're true heroes. They're professionals in every sense of the word. I've been involved in a lot of incidents over the years, in my 40-some years with the fire service, that a lot of life safety award presentations. We've been on a lot of close calls, a lot of incidents and all that. And the one that I want to talk about tonight is on the night of November 30th, we were called out on Highway 41 near the wayside by Sequence Cheese area for a traffic crash. Okay, the call came in across our pagers as a 2-vehicle accident involving a passenger vehicle and a dump truck. It was called that the person was inside, was trapped in the vehicle, person was unconscious. And when we hear that, we go on high alert and we respond as quick as we can. And knowing that a dump truck is involved, it usually isn't a very good outcome, okay? Everything, once we rolled up on scene, we got there pretty quick. Once we got on scene, everything was pretty accurate, except it wasn't a dump truck. It was a, what do you call it? One of the big heavy wreckers that haul semis when they tip over. So it was bigger than a dump truck and it T-boned the passenger car. One driver, young man inside the passenger car. We rolled up right away. We took a lot of it. Let's see, myself and Derek and Ryan and James were on the first engine. We rolled up on scene. EMS was already there. The paramedics were already there. They couldn't get to the driver. The car was so mangled. He was inside, bleeding, unconscious. Didn't look good. Okay. Joe and Justin were rolled up moments later in our water tender. And we immediately thought this is not good, right? These guys went to work so fast in all of my years doing this. And this we verified by some of the rescue squad people. I've never seen a extrication go as smoothly and as fast as this one did. Within 8 minutes, we had that individual out of the vehicle on the stretcher going into the ambulance to the hospital. He spent a month in the hospital, transferred from Marinette to Green Bay to Milwaukee, and he's alive today, largely because of what these guys did. Okay. I didn't have to say anything. You know, we hopped out of the engine, the four of us did. Right away, I think Ryan was the first one up to the front door of the patient. You know, EMS couldn't get into him. Ryan made contact with the patient. Ryan was talking to him the whole time. Now, he couldn't talk back, but that's important. You don't know, right? Ryan was talking to him, sure again, we're gonna get you out of here. Derek grabbed some of the tools, and he grabbed our extrication equipment off of the truck. We have this new battery operated draw the light stuff now that is fast. It's ready to go. All we do is hit a button and it's turned on, ready to go. We don't have to hook up hoses and all that. James was able to make access into the side of the vehicle from the other side of the vehicle and stabilize the patient from inside, talk to the patient, provide him some stimuli, and again, be reassuring him every step of the way, we're going to get you out of here. So these three guys were going to get the life-saving award this evening for their efforts in truly saving their life. Joe and Justin were instrumental, and they got here just like seconds later, right? By that time, these guys had the jaws of life going, they're inside the vehicle, but there was still a lot of work to do. We're standing in a pool of gasoline that is leaking from the vehicle. So gasoline all around us, you can smell it, you can see it. We're standing in it. Justin grabbed, absorbent materials, and he's putting that down. He's charging, they're grabbing the hose line off the engine, getting that ready to go. Joe was stabilizing the vehicle with wheel chalk so the vehicle wouldn't move on us. And then after they're done with that, then they went on to other tasks and helping us get this kid out of the vehicle. There are many people that, in my opinion, helped save this young man's life. Okay. He went through, he was unconscious, he was bleeding, he was life-threatening injuries when we saw him, when we put him in the ambulance, I don't think any of us thought that he was gonna live. Month in the hospital, he's back home right now. A lot of therapy, a lot of rehab, a lot of stuff to do. But these guys were the first cog in the wheel. These guys were the first effort in that golden hour to give him a chance. Okay. EMS took over, paramedics took over, the doctors took over, more doctors took over. There's a lot of people involved in the saving of this young man's life. I wish I could give them all awards, but that's not my authority. I can take care of these guys though. All five of these guys will tell you, we didn't do anything that we don't normally do. This is just another part of our job. This is what we do. And they're right. This is what we do. And but again, remember, they don't have to do it. They don't get paid for doing this. We just do it because we do it. And it needs to be done. And so for that, I am grateful. Sheriff Friday, thank you for your support on this. And I think what we'll do is we'll hand it over. Okay, what I'll give, if you want to read that, you're welcome to. I'll take pretty much the same thing.
Life-saving commendation presented to Ryan Cass in recognition of meritorious service on Thursday, November 30th, 2023. Your swift action and courageous efforts were instrumental in saving the life of a young man who was severely injured and trapped inside a motor vehicle during a traffic accident. Awarded the 7th day of January 16, 2020.
Signed by Chairperson Friday and myself as the fire chief. So Friday, congratulations. This is you want to read them all, but they all say the same thing.
So this is for Derek Minette. And James Matthews.
And unit accommodation awards are very similar, they stay a little bit different, but for the most part, the same thing. And very, again, very instrumental, in what these guys were all doing here, so.
Joe Bailey. And Justin Long.
You want pictures of these guys? Sure.
All right, I do want to say thank you to Mike Colbert for doing that, and I think you talking about what happened really puts things into perspective for people. I think we take it for granted what our first responders do. And to hear what they did, they were the first line of defense. And I think we're very blessed to have them
Very much, guys.
in our community.
21 on the roster, you can be part of it.
There you go.
That much.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on, the Fire Department State of Wisconsin Service Award Program. I was talking with Mike about this earlier. This is something that the town gives into annually. It's kind of like their 401k, if you will. So we just need to approve the monies that they've been doing annually up until this point.
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
And that's because you're on the fire department,
Yes.
correct? Okay. The constable report is in your packet. I'm not gonna read it, pretty short for tonight. The building inspector, we don't have a report as of yet. We just updated the ordinance on January 4th during that meeting so that he can obtain his state passwords. And did you forward that
I did.
ordinance?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, then if we can just follow up with him to make sure that he gets what he needs
Yep.
then. Marinette County Board report. I don't know, is Trigby here? Or
No.
anybody from? Okay. Treasurer report. We've got that in our packets on page 7. Is there any opposition to unanimous consent of approving that? We will call that approved. And then she also handed out the vouchers. Or a list of bills. Can I get a motion to approve vouchers and payment of bills?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard. 12A, potential spring burn. So we did print out the presentation that was provided to us, but we're going to try to get it up on the screen here as well.
Can we just put it here?
Yeah, that would be good.
When did I get you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and please bring your chair up, you know, you.
I just wanted to couple to look about this program. We're really fortunate that the town has to take advantage of funds that are available through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And we're a small community, we're in the northern part of the state, and often much of the money goes to so We have not for highly trained people that are going to be talking to them about what we can do with property. Where we have been, you know, to bring out be improving through this program. It's called my Word. Following and mowing and then so it's not setting up opportunity. I need to only have one way to do pretty good. We're gonna want to cooperate with the county too. So now we here too tonight and there are meetings.
Thank you so much, to the town board for giving us this opportunity to talk today about this project. Wendell really covered a lot of it, but basically we'll just talk a little bit about the project background, how this came to be, the current draft proposal. So nothing obviously is set in stone. It's town of Peshtigo property. So anything that happens there is under your jurisdiction, up to your approval, and then next steps for moving forward. So a bit more about the project background. The Kowalski Walking Trails property was identified by Jay Watson, who's an entomologist with Wisconsin DNR and is also joining us today via Zoom. As a good potential site within Marinette County for pollinator habitat restoration. So he reached out to Marinette County Land and Water Conservation staff, who then reached out to the town of Peshtigo, who gave us the initial go ahead and green light to pursue this opportunity. And also put us in contact with Wendell and other local constituents who cared about the land and had been caretaking for the land. And so we had our initial site visit with a whole bunch of us out there on the property in February of 2023. Those local folks like Wendell and his wife and other folks from the Northern Lights Master Gardeners, really the local experts on the flora and fauna of this place. We've just, those of us that have become involved, we've seen it as a snapshot in time, but they could tell you all about it. But that site visit gave us the opportunity to see the ground in person and share ideas for improving the site for wildlife and also for recreation, which is what the property is primarily used for right now. So we noted that the area is remaining an open grassland. It was historically farmed. There's farmstead with grazing, maybe a little bit of cropping. But anyway, it's not turning back into woodland like a lot of our grassland systems like to do. So we have this nice open grassland habitat, which is something that's important and rare in the landscape. And we do have some native prairie plants that are growing there, like little blue stems, some Indian grass, sweet fern, other plants. There's also quite a bit of non-native cool season sod forming grasses that can kind of form a monoculture. There's also some weeds like knapweed and things like that. So there is definitely some pollinator and wildlife value out there, but it could be better. And that's what folks have reached out to us about, to see how we might make it better. And so can we forward to the next slide? So this just kind of depicts another kind of sand prairie, dry prairie area in Wisconsin. So the kind of the vision of what it could be, adding more diversity to better support pollinators and other wildlife, and also improve the aesthetic and recreational value of the property. And so what are the benefits of diverse prairie habitat? So like we've been talking about, it better supports wildlife by providing improved cover and food resources, and also providing flowering plant resources throughout the growing season. and throughout their life cycle that they need. It improves the soil health and water infiltration, and also makes for more beautiful, landscape. Next one. So in addition to above ground diversity and all of the benefits that brings, there's also a lot, like I said, happening in the soil, and below ground. A lot of you have probably seen this before, but native prairie plant roots are incredible. They're very deep, they're very resilient to things like drought and disturbance and things like that. You can see the two little plants on the end are like the non-native cool season grasses, like turf grass and brome grass. You just don't have those same beneath ground interactions and benefits to the ecosystem. Okay. So how do we get from where we are to something looking more like our vision slide? Well, there's no one for habitat restoration. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if there was just one like surefire way to get there. But we try different things, and there's different things that we know that we need to do. We need to address the non-diversity. We need to add in more diversity. So how, what are the steps to get us there? One example timeline and kind of the current proposal we're looking at is looking at potentially treating some of that smooth brome and other cool season grass with a grass-specific herbicide. So something that's just going to target those grasses. And then doing a late spring burn to help further knock back those grasses, and also to help prepare the seedbed for an interseeding of native plants. And then in early to mid-June, we would do an interseeding of a diverse prairie mix of those different plants that we were talking about. And then we monitor it, and then we, it's kind of an adaptive management situation. So like I said, there's no one silver bullet or perfect recipe, but this is kind of what the group came up with as an initial idea. Moving forward to the next one. So Wendell specifically wanted me to talk to you guys a little bit about prescribed fire. A little nerve-wracking to talk to the town of Peshtigo about the use of fire. But prescribed fire, or controlled burn, as a lot of folks call it, is defined as the intentional application of fire to a specific area under specific environmental conditions and parameters. And that's the key, that's the prescription. So anytime you're going to conduct a prescribed burn, it's going to have a burn plan. The prescription is going to be outlined within that burn plan of where we want our relative humidity, what direction and what speeds we want our wind within, what temperatures, parameters, and if you're not in prescription, you do not put fire on the ground. So that's an important, a critical piece of how that gets done. So fire, of course, was an integral part of Wisconsin's cultural and ecological heritage. It happened historically through lightning strikes, and then also by human starting fires for various reasons. So why do we still use fire? So it's an important tool. It's still an important tool for land management. It helps set back succession in disturbance reliant ecosystems like pine barrens, oak woodlands, grassland sort of setting. It can help with fuels reduction for wildlife or wildfire prevention, helps improve wildlife habitat, manage invasive species, and also helps with forest production. A lot of areas of the country, people burn their pastures to recycle nutrients, and then also it provides nice, fresh, and encourages new plant growth. Go to the next one. So we think, a lot of times we think of fire as a destructive force, and it definitely can be, and it must be taken very seriously. But I wanted to show this timeline progression of this grassland that was burned. You can see 1 day before fire, all the dry fuel that's there, 5 days after fire, then 20 days, and then 45 days of harvest that a fire moved through that grass. So what about wildlife? So a lot of people might wonder, okay, you're here, you're with Fish and Wildlife Service, why are you, lighting fires to their habitat? Well, a lot of our grasslands, and scrub adapted wildlife are adapted to fire. They'll usually fly, they'll burrow, they'll outrun it. That's not to say there's never mortality. There can be, or there can be losses of nests, and then there'll be things like re-nests and things like that. So it's not to say it never happens, but there's also the fact that these animals are dependent on these ecosystems that are disturbed, maintained by disturbed. The one thing we wanted to talk about was liability for prescribed fire. I put the homeowner stuff on there just as reference. In this case, if we did decide to use fire as a tool on the landscape, I would be, and if I was helping pay for it, I mean, potentially your fire department would, you know, there's some communities where their fire department will conduct prescribed fires, there's like a training, exercise or something like that. So we might look at that as well. But if you're working with me to help pay for it, we would hire a contractor, and then the liability would fall on the contractor. That contractor would also write the burn plan, would ensure that all the fire breaks are in place, there's specifications, and would submit for all the permits. So a little bit more about me and working with the Fish and Wildlife Program. Like I said, I'm with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and this is our private land branch. So that's what we do, is we work with private landowners, and that can include municipal and county government to on a voluntary basis. Nobody has to do anything I say. I'm not regulatory in any way, to help them improve and enhance wildlife habitat on their land. So some super basics about our program. They come with like a 10-year agreement, basically saying, you know, whatever we're investing in has to stay on the landscape for 10 years. Our cost share goal is roughly 50-50 for the whole project, but that can vary widely. I'm not talking to that number. The landowner and partner contributions can come in both out of pocket expenses or in-kind contributions of like labor, equipment, that's to be spending. Our program, like I said, is unique and it's flexible, and each project is its own beast. We can help with all steps in the restoration process, including physical implementation. I have a little bit of seeding equipment, so I might be able to actually help with, you know, getting the seed in the ground, that step of it. So this just shows our current draft plan. So we had a prescribed fire contractor come out, take a look at the grounds, and based on the existing trails that are on the trail systems that's already out there, they kind of delineated 3 different potential units. We just wanted to be a little bit conservative with this. We don't want to do it all at once. We also want to leave refugia for the pollinators and for the grass we have wildlife that are up there. And we thought this middle piece, this middle 5-acre piece, might be a good one to start. And so I have a draft agreement that I wrote up regarding that, and there's the draft budget table there, and that has me mostly paying for all of the contractor work. So like I said, that 50-50, we're not hitting it on each one, but that's okay. If we look at it as a pilot project, and then maybe in a future year, we would seek some additional grant funding to help better leverage my funding. Go to the next one. So these are just some of the potential grants that we could go to, or different funding partners we might be able to tap into for future projects, or even maybe this one, depending on what our timeline is for when we would start doing any of this. And then I know that Sherry had looked up some additional potential grants for us. And then, so in summary, like I said, Quality Walking Trails is an asset, as it is to local human and wildlife communities, and habitat restoration could improve all these qualities, and we're here to partner with you if you want to do that. And this was just, I just wanted to put that on there. It's a nice series of photos from a prescribed burn contractor that kind of walks you through what they're doing on the actual day of the burn, and what that's before they put fire on the ground.
Yeah, I guess, does anybody have questions? I guess the supervisors who are over building and grounds, do you have any thoughts on this? Or Mike,
Wendell
if
good
you
with
have-
it? Are you good with this process?
I think we're really fortunate again to have this opportunity. These folks have a lot of experience in programs that, as you can see, we're tapping into it. I just want to say that really working for these on Zoom tonight, but one of my students, an outstanding student, of course, I'm happy with. But
Mike,
they don't have to worry about it. This would be a good team. Getting a lot of use by people now and cooperation.
Mike, you were,
Sure, just a comment from the fire department. I think everything that was presented is spot on. It's very sound. I think this is the appropriate approach. Wendell's been hounding me for years. And not that we don't want to do it, it's just being volunteers, all my guys work. And you heard the presentation about how we certainly have the capability, the knowledge, the equipment to do this. Logistically, you have to look at that prescription and, you know, it might be all of a sudden, bang, you know, it comes up now is the day you gotta do it, and I don't have anybody available. So that's the main reason why the fire department doesn't want to really take this on. We certainly, if we are available to assist. I would want to make sure that, you know, the agreement is signed, that it's a qualified, trained, properly equipped crew that has the qualifications to do this. I want to make sure all the permits are obtained, go through it from the DNR. I know you guys will do that. I don't have any concerns about that. If we are available to bring out brush trucks or UTV, any personnel, it's just not going to be a lot of guys. It might be 2, 3, 4 guys, you know, with a couple people that way, if needed. And if anything, just to help guard it as a safety net in case something goes wrong. So I think otherwise, it's for the board to decide, but no real issues with the fire department.
what other things can we do in kind rather than money? Something that needs to be.
I think the mowing of further preparing the fire break. So like I said, we're gonna use the existing, mowed trail, but if they need to be widened, or if they need to be mowed at a certain time, or if anything additionally needs to happen there, that would be a great thing. Then it just, if we do need to, sometimes once you seed, you may get a flush of annual weeds, that then it's good to come in and do establishment mowing a couple times, kind of like a haying rotation. You come in and you cut them before they flower and before they reseed. I don't know in this interseeding, it's a little different than seeding cropland to prairie, so we'll just kind of have to monitor to see if that needs to happen, but that's something that could count. One other thing I didn't mention, I talked about seeding, but potentially we could also, you know, plant some plugs of plants as well, so actual little seedlings. So if we did like a volunteer day or something like that to get seedlings in the ground, something like that.
But I think it's a good project.
Mhm,
I think it's an excellent goal.
mhm.
So what is the money portion that would be from the town, so I understand it correctly?
So currently, I don't have you guys down for any
I like you more now.
I-
Me and you are, we're friends, we're friends.
Sold. Where do we sign?
Yes. Throw that agreement up here, we'll take it. Yeah.
Of-
We'd
Of
have-
the agreement, I think it's in the packet. here.
And then I do have, one, I've gotten 2 bids back for a prescribed fire. The one that's lower so far, I printed.
Well, you guys would be picking a tab up then
Right.
for that stuff then, still, okay.
It was just a professional services agreement, correct?
with any,
with NES.
yeah.
Okay.
You've got.
Yep.
That NES proposal there, that would be a town cost? No. Oh, okay.
And then the landowner agreement, do you need that as well?
Yes,
Okay,
that would be what facilitates me being able.
sure. Okay, so it would be both of those. Okay,
to
You
Look
need
at
a
that.
motion to
Yep.
approve them? I'll make a motion to accept it and approve it.
I'll second it. Somebody will.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much.
Pretty easy, huh?
All right, and then following suit, letter B, I think that Wendell has done so much work with the KWT. And I think it would benefit the town to identify his role, give him maybe a title. And the reason I'm thinking this is, you know, I saw at one point where someone on social media said that they planted a tree there, which I think is great, but I think that there should be some direction from Wendell as to where to plant, or especially if we're gonna do all of this work. So in talking with Wendell, he had suggested KWT volunteer coordinator. And again, it's volunteer, and you know, if at any point you think you need a committee or for doing things, let us know what you need. Is there any other discussion or any other thought on that?
I think it's a good idea to do so. Get some kind of a direction and
Mhm.
somebody we can point the finger to. Go talk to Wendell.
Because if someone calls me what to do, I would reach out to you, you know. If you want me to put both of you. All right. So I would like to make a motion that we name Wendell Johnson as KWT volunteer coordinator. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 13, additional election inspector approvals for Kathleen Willman and Shane Johnson. Can I get a motion to approve those?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will say that Kayla and Rebecca today did election inspector training. How many people did you have here?
11, and we also did it last Monday and it was about the same, so.
So we've got a good crew. Number 14, Board of Appeals memberships, Ron Sharon and Tom Lawson, their terms end the end of this month. Kayla Okens did reach out to them. They are both willing to continue on. So I am looking to reappoint them each for another 3-year term ending January 31st, 2027. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Number 15, Ordinance Policy Review Committee. So this came from the Wisconsin Towns Association, January 2024 magazine. Talking about the importance of having an ordinance review committee. And when I read that, it got me thinking about the legal review that we just went through and paid, I don't remember how much money for. And it's a document that we received from Civic Plus that's 477 pages with their strikeouts and recommendations. So I would like to put together a committee to start looking at our ordinances, going through that legal review, so it doesn't just sit there in a PDF on a computer and nothing get done with it, after we spent the money on it. And kind of my goal would be to meet monthly and see what we can get accomplished. I would be willing to chair the committee. I would like at least one other supervisor to do it with me. I did reach out to Joyce Buckman. She is willing to be on that committee. I was actually thinking about Wendell Johnson. I thought he might do well on that, but we can talk. Yeah, so is there any opposition to forming an ordinance policy review committee? Is there any other supervisor who's willing to co-chair it with me? Don't jump up all at once. please.
I've got my hands full right now with this building and
Yeah,
stuff going on.
I get
so
it.
I just got a question for you.
Mhm.
Are you gonna, you're looking. When you say ordinance review, are you talking about our zoning? 'Cause I think that's already spelled out, who reviews that. All
So,
your code of ordinances outside of your zoning and planning,
right,
the zoning and planning is the plan commission does.
so again, I haven't gone through the legal review completely, but it's got just a lot of strikeouts, like the numbers don't jive with the
Right.
Wisconsin statutes, that kind of thing. So my intention with it is, we can review things and some things will need to go to the plan commission if there's something, because what came up at the last plan commission, like Airbnbs or little, tiny homes. So things like that, that maybe they are like, okay, this should be looked at. This ordinance review committee could look at it and then send it to the plan
Right.
commission. Other things they could look at and send it to the board if there's any substantive changes. But I think there's a lot of ordinances that just don't pertain anymore, or they don't, it's not what we do. And again, I haven't read through all of those 477 pages. It was more to kind of take a look, sit down with a group of people to see what we can do with that. And maybe once we get into it, it'll be like, you know what, this is really a bunch of nothing and.
Well, when the code of ordinances were put together, there was an attorney on board through the plan, through Bailey's regional planning.
Mhm.
That advised us a lot on the legal sides of it. Are you looking at having some attorney involvement in this?
If we need to, absolutely. You know, I,
Just start straightening out state statutes, because the state statutes probably moved to something else.
right, right. So again, I don't know exactly what I'm getting into with this, you know?
2 years
Also,
worked the last time.
also we have, the comprehensive planning. That comprehensive plan update, we sent the contract in today for that. They're gonna start in July, so I was thinking this group might be able to work with
Work
them
with them.
as well. So it's kind of an evolution thing, we'll start here, we'll
Right.
do kind of a deep dive into those, that legal
Well, we're
review.
better off than we were when we originally did the code of ordinances. The town had nothing
Mhm.
other than a book with 8 pages or something in it. That was our entire code for the town.
And certainly
So
if
it was-
we,
Now you've at least got a document to tear apart.
and if there's something that looks like, if we have questions, I can run it by, Attorney Spangenberg and go from there, It's one of those things that I don't know what I'm opening for
Right.
this can of worms, but. When I read that in WTA's magazine, I thought that that was something that would benefit the town.
I'll go on.
There we go.
Anybody
Way to go,
else?
Jim.
Anybody else?
I figured
No.
one of you guys would maybe step up to the plate, but I guess.
That does not, what are you gonna do if a board member shows up on that? You're gonna have to know.
Oh, I'll notice all the meetings so that, yep,
Meetings anyway.
yep, so that if there, if something comes up that I think that you would be beneficial on, we'll call you in, it'll be noticed, so. There won't be any action taken, like I said, it'll have to go to the plan commission or the board.
I think I'll be good on changing ordinances.
Careful what you wish for. All right, so the motion is, I'll make the motion to establish an ordinance policy review committee with me as chair. and
you.
Jimmer Wartner as co-chair.
Perfect.
And then I will develop something and put it on the website, I think, to ask for other membership. I don't think we need to put it in the paper. So,
I should put it in the article. We'll get it on.
You need a second to that?
so can I get a second?
Like, you got it.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 16, discounted fire number signs and posts. Previous years, they would discount them from $35 down to $25 through election day, which is April 2nd this year.
That would be for just replacements,
Right.
not
new.
newly issued ones, just for clarification.
So for any replacement signs, and the purpose is to encourage people to have visible signs. Ones that are kind of faded, maybe not as reflective, to help with the emergency rescue people.
Plus they go at a right angle to the road, not parallel like the old ones did.
Mhm.
Well, put it.
I make a motion to go ahead with that program, and the
I'll
reason we
second
can do it for the 25 is because we bulk order them. And they truck deliver them, so we don't get postage on every one of them, for shipping charges. That's why we can get by for the 25 instead of 35.
Yeah, so none of them are ordered until the end of the sale. We
Right.
order them
Okay.
all at the same time and they get delivered.
So if we do that, do we run an ad in the paper for that?
No,
In
we
the
just-
newsletter, right? If I remember
Was the
right.
discounted one?
Oh, did you want a newsletter? Oh, I thought it did.
no, we did not run an ad previously. We just posted it on.
Put it on the website?
Yep.
I think I'd run an ad.
You could post it election day, though. Out in the hallway.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
when,
that's coming up.
that's why we did it during the election, so people could just stop in.
Mhm.
But I'd really encourage the people to go out and look at their address number, fire number, emergency number, whatever you wanna call it, because some of them are in horrible shape and some of them are impossible to read and some of them are hidden.
Yeah.
So you really need to look at your sign and see where it is and what shape it's in.
Someday you may need it.
Pardon?
Someday you may need it.
I believe them original signs were put up,
Oh, God.
you know, in the early 70s. So you're talking signs out there 50 years old, so you know what shape there is. There's no reflectivity on them at all. There wasn't when they put them up. Not like the new signs today.
So do you think we should run an ad in the paper?
I think you should.
At least
Is
once?
that a motion?
I'll make that
I'll second
motion.
it.
I'll go with you.
And we're gonna lump that whole motion saying we're gonna do the discounted signs from now through April 2nd. With the
Correct.
ad in the paper.
Replacement.
Replacement, yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 17 is the proposed amendment to ordinance section 2134. This is what was discussed back in November. It was tabled to today's meeting. And I put some commentary on the side so that you can see my thought process here. Changing that there shall be included on said agenda, a time for hearing citizens to making it to say there may be included. Changing shall to may will align with Wisconsin DOJ, WTA, and surrounding municipalities. As a reminder, board members have the ability to place an item on the agenda for an upcoming meeting with a majority vote. In the event the town chairperson removes public comment from an agenda, a motion can be made, seconded, and passed with a majority vote to have it placed on the agenda for a future meeting as noted in the last line under number 4. Which down further under number 4, that's exactly what that says. So that's one of the changes that I'm proposing. On page 2, I recommend that we remove the chairperson makes available the agenda sheet because that is not the current process. Under number 2A, I'm removing with permission of a presiding officer. So that it is the board rather than merely the chairperson determining if a citizen may address the board. And then down further, it just I'm inserting may be granted via unanimous consent to the board, otherwise 2/3 vote once motion is made, just to identify the process. Under B number 1, adding the fire chief and all other town officials, meaning that this provision does not apply to them. They do have the ability to speak during a board meeting. And under number C, I remove that section 2137 merely because that is about public hearing process and does not pertain to this section.
So pertaining to the first suggestion of removing the requirement for public comment, I don't think it's negative to be even more protective of resident speech than Wisconsin DOJ or WTA. And we've heard overwhelmingly from residents that they value and want public comment. So I would make a motion to approve all of the changes to the ordinance except the first one pertaining to B2.
So, to rebut your statement, I have heard the opposite. The month that I removed public comment, I heard multiple individuals in favor of that because of how it was. I have since heard multiple residents in favor of how we're currently doing it. It's much better, and I hope that it continues that way.
We have had multiple public comments since then and public statements in support of that. I understand you personally have, but that was my motion.
Is there a second? So I will make a motion to approve these changes as listed.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
And
Any opposed?
Opposed.
All right, PFAS contamination in your packet, pages 22 through 27. You can see what Thriving Earth Exchange had provided us with for their project completion. I'm not going to read through that. Tyco DNR, page 28, gave their updates. This is comparing to November 21st, with when their last update was. We have one more replacement well installed, or one more replacement well requested. 26 replacement wells installed, up from 23. And 81 wells are ready for installation, which is down from 83. The rest of the update is pretty much the same as previous. Pages 29 through 41, again, I'm not going to read this. This is for your information. Update from WDNR. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, discussion on that? EPA Superfund designation, I don't have any update on that. Supervisor Furton, update on the 1.667 million federal grant funds.
I hope everyone received the update sent, I believe it was last week, that definitively funds cannot be used for well monitoring or individual POET systems. And the DNR confirmed that we cannot use safe drinking water funds for that, and the town does not have the engineering needed to apply for those funds anyway, nor do we have the money to complete that engineering. The grant funds, or the UW grant writing team, needs to know kind of what our final project would be. As we've been over, we can amend the initial request, even though it was very broad, but they do need to have a little more direction of the plan from us of where we want to go before having a definitive list of grants that we could apply for.
So if it can't be used for monitoring or POETs, what can it be used for?
So the pre-development work to ascertain, basically the engineering work needed to apply for additional funds, such as the cost of service modeling, all of that, like pre-development work towards a permanent safe drinking water.
Towards a
solution.
utility district.
Well, the title of the project is permanent safe drinking water, which
Right.
is why it's broad. But as defined by the EPA and the DNR, yes, that is a municipal water system.
Okay. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I guess we're not going in that direction as of yet, so. I don't know what else to say, you know, we can't afford to do both. I don't know, what do they need to know? Oh, you know, we can't afford to do the engineering, so.
And I mean, I think it's, if the board doesn't have a clear direction, I know that was, why we requested, can we use it for monitoring? Can we use it for POET systems? There's not a deadline on it, so I think it's okay as of right now, if we don't have this is what we want to change the project to. It's just they also cannot provide, a list of grants until we have that, so I mean, if we are in a holding pattern for that's where we're at, but they also can't provide information to us.
Is there a
In
chance
the
they'll
meantime.
change the terms or conditions of that down the road?
I don't know,
There's been locked in, that's.
I think it's fairly, because it's done by like the fiscal year it's awarded. And so they might change it for like next year's funding, but it still wouldn't apply to us. I did talk to I don't have his name in front of me. The person I talked to at the DNR was a new person that I had not contacted with before, and he has been tasked with talking to communities about this funding because there are a lot of communities having the same problem of, great, we can't access the funds because we don't have the money.
They may change some terms.
And so, well, and I think too, like the DNR, you know, whereas the EPA won't, there might, you know, we can hope, but
If it's not spent, they'll figure out a way to spend.
yeah. Well, I asked him like, can we decide to reallocate somewhere it would still benefit us, but
I would just leave it sit until.
I mean, I think there's not a deadline if we don't have a clear direction for it. You know, it's understandable that we can provide that.
All right, CDBG CV Town Hall Improvement Update. Clarence and Daryl, I don't know, did we get that second bid in?
You wanna go on that, Daryl?
Well, yeah, I could start on it, I guess. I got another bid in today that I was waiting for last month, and it's unfortunate that the grant that we got, I don't know who signed it or got it, understood what all the terms and conditions were. Something that should cost $150,000-200,000 is now $400 and some thousand because all the stuff that you gotta put into it, so. We did get another bid that we're sending off to,
To Michael with
yeah,
MSA?
I guess
Okay.
that's the new
Yeah,
MSA.
that's the new men, that's the new men.
However, there's a lot more coming down the road after that because there's gotta be re-engineered to the actual specs and things. So I don't know what the hell they engineered so far, but every time you look at it, they come up with a different one or they fire their engineers and they assign a different one. So it's, we're running out of some time, but equipment, the way they have it designed, equipment, it's a high grade. It's almost like a hospital type setting for air exchange, which I think is totally over designed for what this place is. For this kind of money, we could have built a whole brand new town hall, so. But unless we can get the grant changed somehow, they say there's more money to be had. We just got it today, the second bid. And I got a bid coming in to do the office. Just came and looked at it today, so I expect to get that in a day or two.
And that'll be a separate one?
That's a
from the-
separate, because we could split the two projects apart and not have to have. But then you gotta. There's paperwork and there's designing and everything else behind it, so. We're gonna have to see what extra monies they have to cover it. The other problem is they already spent the part of the grant money for the fire department, the rescue squad. the food
Well, that was
pantry.
all separate, so that was already what they were entitled
I,
to.
I
Yeah.
understand that, however, the terms, the way I understand the grant is. If you don't do the whole entire project, meaning the office and the hall here, you're responsible to pay back everything you've used.
Right,
So now you've already give out $200,000 to these other entities that have spent their money. We are the one that are sitting on the hook to give it back.
right.
So. And I just, like I said, I got on here in September trying to figure all this crap out, but it's a mess.
It is a
And,
mess.
I've talked to, I don't
So
know how many different people, so.
So I think going forward, these two should go down, have our grant guy look at them,
They're already.
see
gone.
that they meet the requirements of the grant. If they do, then he's gotta take the next step. Is there more money available
Right,
to cover them?
Yep.
Whichever one.
Yep.
You know, if they're both good, then we'll have to make a decision which one we're gonna use.
if they're both comparable, then you have to go with the lowest.
That's correct, but
You
I
know,
say, then we
Right,
gotta see if we can get more money in the grant, because
Right.
we don't have the extra funds.
Yep.
So
Without
you're gonna
totally
be short a
depleting the
couple
account.
$100,000, so, from what the grant is.
so either we
unless they
come
want-
up with $200,000 to be able to do this, or we come up with $200,000 to pay
Well,
off
I don't
the rest
know.
of it, you know?
We may.
You know,
be able to
that's,
get 'em
that's the
to,
questions that's gotta get answered,
Mhm.
yes or no.
So I
And
have
then,
a,
I have no problem pushing back and telling them to pound sand because the way they gotta go on, because they got a mess.
Has there been anything said in the past about, extending this past the July 31st
that
deadline?
has not been discussed.
Can that
It's
be
something that
discussed
we'll
at
have
the
to
same
ask for.
time?
We'll ask for it once.
If I
we
can
get-
interject to where Daryl was going with the like over designed for what we're looking at. I don't think you finished your thought on that, but I know what
Go
your
ahead.
thought was. That because of that, there's such a weight on the units because they're like more I don't know if custom is the right word,
But
but
like
essentially,
commercialized units and they're longer to get. My understanding is that the units they want us to use on the air exchange is not like a rooftop heater furnace all in that are more readily available that can do similar to the same thing. Those are more readily available. The other ones I'm told are 25 to 52 weeks out. You're probably at the same answer. But
I think if we determine which one we're going to do, and then they can let us know, this is the timeline that I'm able to do, then we go back to DOA. Because we're already gonna have to do an amendment for the ERS. And they'll have to approve the
you just need
bidder,
to keep working through it.
right, and then we'll ask for the.
But
the
before we do
change.
any of that, it's gotta go down there and see that the two grants
Right.
are apples and apples and meet the
Yep.
requirements.
Yep.
That's the first step.
So I have it,
And if we have to have a special meeting to move this forward,
I feel comfortable
So be
that
it.
it's gonna get be comparable because they use the same. RTI or whatever.
Plan a few things here now. Our company was the only one ever involved in this since August,
okay,
and now what I hear is you're keep mailing two bids together.
No,
We did the whole job. We did the whole thing, all the general construction, electrical, everything. We didn't just give you a bid for the HVAC. You understand? Now you're getting a bid just for the HVAC, I understand.
no, just let me back it up. Yes, you did bid it all. However, they had approval to separate it out.
See, now we
Because
never were told that. So now we did it the way it was originally spec'd out. Originally, we were the only one ever to bring bids in.
Because at that time, this is before my time, but at that time, there was nobody that bid on it.
Right.
So they redid it.
Yeah, we had our bids in hand, but nobody, no general bids, we pulled our bid out, we needed the general. Then
Right.
John Kowalski decided to, well, we let the HVAC company do the general. Normally, the HVAC company doesn't do the general.
and then we got no bids on that one.
So,
So then they gave us the opportunity to split it out. So then we tried splitting it out, but you happened to bid the whole
we
project,
did every,
right?
hold up. Masonry work, to painting work, to every installation.
But it had already been determined that it was split out already.
the last
Right.
time we went out for bids, that was in there, that
Right.
it could be split.
But
Yes,
nobody did it there neither.
right.
So then. But I mean, piecemeal it together, and it's also a prevailing wage job.
Yep.
And it's so much paperwork.
Yep.
That was the only
Yep.
question originally with us was, who's gonna help the paper?
Right. And that's what we need to realize too, is it's not only the bid that we have to pay for, it's the continued MSA involvement with it. There's going to be continued
Right, they have
costs.
other admin fees. You got
Mhm.
engineering, Mark's got to redesign the whole thing.
Yeah, well.
Yep.
How do I say it? Politely? We've been dealing with Mark since.
Yeah, well, and he wasn't hired by us. He was hired by the engineer that they hired, which that whole thing, it's
It's been a
mess.
whole mess.
Yeah,
You know,
so
so then, we came up with some different alternatives that.
I'm just trying to keep it together because we don't have all that extra money, so we have to figure out how to do it in order to get it in, so.
Say,
And I don't know what direction it's gonna end up going.
we've also reached out to other manufacturers if they can make something sooner, because the original spec is 54 weeks out for that. That's here in 2 weeks.
Yep, and that's why that's gonna have to be part of our request is, okay, now we finally narrowed it down to this. Now we have to look at the timeline, so,
We've also reached out to other manufacturers, and some of us are telling us 13, 14 weeks, if you give us a feel now.
sure.
But we can't until we get it.
Oh, right, I know.
Plus-
You know,
Plus, we gotta find the other money.
February, March,
Yeah.
April.
It just,
Yeah.
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 The only thing, well, when we, at our shop clock, we could do everything but put the air handlers. So as soon as the air handlers come,
Right.
we could slap them in. and be
But the
done.
terms of the grant on the terms has to be completed. That's, so if you only get it 98%, you're still not completed.
No, I understand.
You're screwed, you know,
Say the only.
and they live by it too, so.
Oh, I know. And all our company does is heavy commercial industrial work. We don't do no residential. Our guys are dedicated to this job.
Sure,
So we won't pull
Can I-
nobody off, say, oh, we got free service all in furnace.
Can I ask you this? Design was
So I think we're spinning our wheels unless we send this down
Yeah,
and give it to the people down there to tell if it's good, or they're good or they're no good bids.
so,
And then when we get that answer back, make a decision, okay, this is the one we're gonna go with, then see if the funds are there.
so
And
I
if we
have
get
a
an
tentative,
extension on the project.
I have a-
I wanna ask a question here, yeah, but why was it designed so elaborate with this? Is that, because I'm told that there's other systems that are
Well, this
capable of doing
I
it, but
guess
it's such a,
is what it's what the federal grant called for with,
right, but that's, I'm being told that that's his
who's
interpretation.
telling you this, girl?
What's that? I don't wanna throw anybody's name on.
No, I mean, I just, we deal with the engineers come to us, when we go to,
Well, I'm not saying the engineer is saying it, I'm just saying other,
that's,
municipalities, whatever, have done a similar air exchange system, but didn't.
well, we
do the
did
same
one for the
thing.
town of Lake out there 2 years ago, but it was not done through a
Through
federal
federal
grant.
grant, right,
So it's totally different.
sure,
Hey, this is what we do it here.
for about a third the money, probably.
this is the price you pay for getting federal money.
But that's.
Well, that's what I said, who read it?
Right.
Right.
If, like you say, I agree with you, if this wasn't through the federal grant, this thing would be.
Yeah,
Simple.
So I have a tentative phone meeting with Michael from MSA scheduled for Thursday, February 1st at 11. If you guys, the two of you
Mhm.
get this to MSA and
It's
then
already
you,
gone.
you determine that
It will be gone.
this one is the best one, then you've already been given authorization to move forward with that. I guess just let me know that because the purpose of my meeting with Michael is to get this amendment done for the ERS. Get this going forward, and then I'll ask about the extension timeline as well. Or you guys can meet with Michael next week too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We know we've got to go ahead and
Six-
go on this.
that'll
but
come real fast.
There's no way that Daryl and I are gonna say go on this when there's a couple $100,000 that this board's gotta come up
Well,
with. Somebody's gonna make that.
Well, we
decision
need to
besides two of
see if
us.
there's other grant money
Right.
available, what's
Right.
all
Yeah.
left.
And I
Because I
think
don't know what the
that's-
engineering cost is gonna be to redesign the whole thing. I
I
couldn't
think-
get an answer out of them, so why do you budget for to do anything?
So I
Whole
think
thing
what
is
we need
messed
to
up.
do is you guys have the ability to move forward with
Hmm.
that, and we don't need a board vote to say, okay. It's gonna cost us an extra $200,000. Let's ask the DOA for extra $200,000.
No, we can do all
I
that.
think we should continue to move
Yeah,
forward
well,
with
that's,
that.
yeah.
That's what I was saying.
By the time we
should
reach
be
back
doing.
to the board, we already know that
Send that.
these, because it's gonna take
Yep.
them time to
Did
get
you
that answer.
send that email?
Because by the time it comes back to the board, we can say this
Yeah,
is how
do
much
that,
the
so maybe
town
we
is
can
on
get
the
some
hook for.
conversation.
And the extension has to be part of it.
Right.
It's never gonna get done by July 31st.
Yep.
Our bid speaks.
The whole thing,
Okay, and the other bid only does,
right?
how are you gonna compare them together without the other? part
Well,
of the building?
they would have to have that other part of that. It has to be the whole thing.
Right, you gotta have.
Yeah, the other one is no good without the office work.
Right,
That's
Yep.
part of that.
yep.
Correct. The whole, it's gonna be,
So the
And there
difference
is
is gonna
somebody
be
that's
yours
been-
is the whole,
Right.
and the other one are these two getting us the whole. So that's what we're gonna have to compare it to. Yours.
Just a matter of
to that.
adding the two together.
Yeah.
When it comes, that's.
Yeah.
No, I just want everybody to
Yep.
understand something that our, what happens to us.
Yeah.
We've watched since August, we've spent so many hours on this,
Mhm.
no. Nothing,
Yeah,
which was fine, I mean, I'm telling you, this old my son, I've been believing that over 40 years. So,
sure.
I mean, over the years, I've done a lot of work.
Yeah.
So,
Well, please be patient with us and know that we've been very frustrated with the whole process ourselves.
I like to say, our bid says good for 30 days, well, 30 days is up.
Right. So it's still good is what you're saying?
there'll be more.
All right.
decisions, so it'll-
Okay.
Thank you so much.
With our tax-
All right, building and grounds. I don't know if you have anything else, but otherwise the bid process for the fire department drains.
Well, I think we took some of the ground stuff tonight for Wendell.
Right, yeah, so I didn't know if there was anything else.
We have not done a bid process yet on the drains because I was kind of waiting to see where the money situation was.
That's exactly where we're at that at. So then we'll have to come up with some specs of what we're doing out there. We'll go out for bid. So
Okay.
next month, maybe at the earliest.
All right, well, let's just,
Providing we have some other answers in the meantime.
so let me know if you need this on the agenda again, then in the
Right.
future.
But I was just putting some dollars together on our treasurer's report here tonight, and there's no way there's the town even has the availability of funds to do that HVAC project there,
Mhm.
if we have to put the rest of the bill.
Well, the other thing, keep in mind too, that you have to foot the bill up front and you get reimbursed afterwards. So you have to have
Right.
enough money to cover the whole thing and then you collect your money from the feds. So
Right.
that's another part of the terms that somebody did pay attention to, I guess, when they.
I think they changed that. I think they changed it. I remember them saying that the process has now changed. Initially, it was gonna be a
So they pay
reimbursement.
as they go.
Initially, it was gonna be, they were gonna give you the funds, then it turned into a reimbursement. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Recycling center, anything under there?
What did you say?
Recycling
Recycling.
center?
Recycling center, been some complaints, I guess, that we raised the fees out there that nobody knew about, but it was advertised and it was in the newsletter, it was approved by the board. Every time one of them roll-offs goes out of the recycling center, it costs us in the neighborhood of $600. And at $5 a pickup truck going in it, there's no way that that balances. And in order to balance that, we thought we could raise it to that $30. We're bringing a pickup truck load and the guys are gonna use their. If you come in with a little bit in a pickup truck, they're not gonna say $30 because it's in a pickup truck, same thing on a trailer, they're gonna use a little bit judgment. Otherwise, the alternative is take it up to Merritt County or over to Morocco or over to Waste Management in Menominee and see what it costs to go over there. I don't think all the town taxpayers should pay for the people that decide to take a bunch of rubbish out here. And because it's cheaper. And the rest of the taxpayers pay for it. So that's why we raised it to the $30 and hopefully that'll help balance this thing out a little bit. And I hope that people understand that same thing with the garbage, we went from $3 a bag. The $3 was a possible upcharge because people were bringing bags in there that it took two guys to lift them to get them up in the dumpster. That's not a kitchen garbage bag.
Right.
So they can put an upcharge on it. Because it's costing the taxpayers a pile of money to keep the recycling center going. The recycling center has averaged about a $17,000 loss. Back quite a few years, with the exception of last year. Last year, they didn't have to pay for all electronics and the Freon stuff. So naturally, the cost dropped down. That has stopped, and now we're paying for electronics again. Big dollars going out again for the electronics going. We're trying to get a program going, which I believe we may have ready to go to the board next month with. And to try to cut some of that cost, but going forward, there's an increased cost, so. And we're right back where we were before with the $18,000 loss again on the recycling center. And that's after the grant, so.
And that's after that free day that they had last year too.
Well, the free day cost a fortune, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's what it is what it is.
Right.
But the free day would have been good if we wouldn't have had to pay for all those electronics.
Mhm.
It would have disappeared out of the town with no cost, but we got a big bill on that.
Okay.
But Glenn from that other recycling outfit, he did get me some stuff and I'm looking at it and I'm gonna get down with Jimmer here and look it over and get with him. He's willing to come in and put a training educational program on with our workers out there to help us try to save some money. And we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Under roads and ditches, I don't know if you have anything else, otherwise there's road maintenance, snowplow operations contract. Carol and Jimmer?
Yeah, I'll go first, I guess. It's been a hell of a week here with the snow plowing. After a week of phone calls of both in agreement with the decision, the way we did the plowing and others that were unhappy. Even with the group of Facebookers that decided to publish my cell phone number, personal cell phone number on Facebook to campaign to flood the phones. We still got what we had to get done, but not everybody is happy and you're not gonna please everybody, but I guess snow plowing has been an issue probably since I moved to the town 25 years ago. It's always been an issue one way or another, so. Most of the people by the time I got done, talking to them, they understood where we were coming from and what we were doing. I mean, and the job of board members is to be fiscally responsible for the taxpayers' money. So you can't just run out and spend money on every little couple inch or an inch that's on the ground. And you got to take a look at some things. I mean, I did talk to the school bus company, fire and rescue, sheriff's department. There, which are the priorities, whether you determine whether or not some other things should happen or get dealt sooner or whatever. But they were all satisfied with what was going on, and they understand it's winter. I looked at the data from the National Weather Service in Green Bay for Peshtigo. Last Sunday, the 7th, we had 2.7 inches of snow. We plowed on Sunday and Monday, and it was right around $7,000 for that 2.5 inches of snow to get rid of it. Sand, that doesn't include putting sand, that's not including sand. Wednesday again, it snowed 3.5 inches, another 5,000 plus, okay? Thursday, it snowed 2 inches, and that's when the phones came off the walls because everybody was all in an uproar that we didn't plow the roads on Thursday when you got a blizzard coming for, they're claiming 6 to 12 inches on Friday. So why would, by the time Vern got done plowing, it'd be snowing again the next day. So what the, I mean, it makes no sense to spend another $5,000 to $7,000 for 2 inches of snow. Has it been with that 8 inches? We spent over $20,000 in 1 week for plowing snow. You got to get rid of the snow, but you got to be somewhat smart on when you go. 2 inches of snow to drive in, I don't think is, personally, I don't think it's out of line. That's my opinion of it, but you know, and Friday night, I talked to Vern at 5 o'clock, I believe it was. We decided that somewhere between 10 and 1 would be the time to go out. It just had started heavy snow at 5 o'clock. The wind was blowing 40 miles an hour, and it wasn't even safe for the plows to be out on the road at that time. But yet people are still bitching that we aren't out there plowing earlier in the day. What do you do with it? You can't, you just can't do everything that you're doing. So, you know, we probably put on, I don't know, probably 100 tons of sand, I'm guessing. I don't know how much it went on there, but there's in a week's time, every time they're going out there and doing it. So none of the other towns, the neighboring towns plowed on Thursday, not one. I followed them all, not one of them were going out. Everybody else was going out Friday night around that same time, 10 to midnight. The county went back out at 3 a.m. in the morning. So what do you do? I mean, it just, I don't think it's right that people, and some of them were previous board members because I talked to them personally. And that was their remark was that they were retaliating against the current board because somebody did that to them, which I think is BS. So, but there were a lot of complaints. I had a lot of stuff and missed roads, not plowed correctly. Most of them I think I sent to Vern through the time throughout the weekend. Matter of fact, all of them I think we discussed and talked, or somebody has talked about it, but we need to sit down and discuss and meet with Vern. I'd like to sit down sometime before the next snowfall and go through this. I'll send it, can give you this list to make sure we got all the roads right and discuss a plan so we're all on the same page. So we're getting the roads done because there's some of them that were missed. Some said they were missed twice. One of them's got a child that's got some health issues and in the road that needs to get to the quite frequently to the emergency room. So I think that was Frederickson. You went down and plowed that afterwards, I believe. So, but we just need to get together and do that. So a lot of them were hollering that their taxes, they pay so much in taxes that they should get the roads plowed. And that was probably one of the biggest bitches that I heard. Until I explained to them to read their tax bill. Because the majority of the tax bill is not us. Only 4.7% of your tax bill comes to the town. On a $2,500 tax bill, we get about $115 of that. towards the town for town taxes. The rest is all school tax, county tax, tech college, NWTC. We don't get that money. So you're limited to, you pay $20,000 a week. You don't have too damn many weeks or you're out of money. So you gotta do something smart because you ain't got no money left. When it's gone, it's gone. So what do you cut out? So what I explained to some of them was if you want to do the roads like a lot of them want, blacktop roads, and they want them sanded, they want them to look like the county roads, which they're not county roads, they're secondary roads. You want a county road, you can go 5 miles, you get to a county road someplace. Just take your time to get there. But you'll have to up the levy then and designate it for road maintenance. $35 per $100,000 value of a house. An additional $35 a year per 100,000. With all the towns, with all the houses we got and the property values, and bring in another $120,000 that could be used on road maintenance. If that's what the town residents want to do it. It goes to a referendum. We don't pick and choose to raise it. The levy's been the same for how long? I mean, the levy is $77 per 100,000 is what we get here for the town. So if that's what the people want, tell a board member, we'll be glad to create a resolution and put it on a referendum, on a ballot, let people decide what they want to do. But it's been an issue for, hell, I've been here 25 years and it's been an issue ever since I've been here. I know that. Whether it doesn't matter who's plowing, if it's Kramer plowing, Road King plowing, or even the county. County used to do it and they still didn't like the way that was done. So something needs to get done, but I don't appreciate my phone being published all over the place, personal cell phone, and just intentionally bombarding the phone call. And I know Kramer's got a boatload of phone calls too, I'm sure, with the roads, and some weren't very pleasant. And some had every right to be upset with what they were doing. So it needs to be fixed. But if that's what people want, then belly up to the table and pay some more money to it and designate it to the roads. It's just a process to do it, but it takes a year or two to get it in place. I don't know what the timeline is, but it's got to be on either an April ballot or a November ballot, I believe, and then it's got to get set up with the state approved and whatever. So if that's what you want, they all got my freaking number now. Call me and tell me. I don't care. I'll take that call. But this other stuff was just uncalled for. It wasn't right. So but Bert, if we can, Naomi, if we can get together one day here, and before you leave, if I can get an email from you, I'll email you this list so you guys can look at it ahead of time and devise a plan, and we just got to get it figured out because it didn't work the way it should. So we got to fix that problem, or somebody else will have to do it. So I don't, we just got to get it figured out. So, but that's what I got on the roads for tonight. And we just need to get it done within the next week here before it snows again, on a plan on how to fix the problems that we got. So, other than that, if somebody else got anything else,
You got anything else?
I plow 3 towns and I have the same problems in some less than other. This town has always been a pain in the ass to plow snow in. I went today, looked at a mailbox, nothing wrong with the mailbox, just didn't like where the snow was plowed. I don't care who plows, you could have a problem, but the whole board has to work with the plowers, and the plowers have to work with the board, or it's not gonna work. The Facebook's gotta stop. I canceled my Facebook, so I was about ready to get on it and say stuff like other people were, and I thought I wouldn't be no better than them. So I deleted my Facebook. It's still on there, anybody can go on it, but I don't get it. Because I've never seen so much bullshit on a page of my life.
one of the
But-
complaints was that somebody couldn't push a baby stroller down the frickin' down the road because there's too much slush. Jimmy got that.
Edwards Ave, and I got nothing but
2 days later, they couldn't walk down it because there's a little bit too much snow. Well, I mean,
I got nothing
shit's
but
gotta
name
stop.
calling for that, I mean,
Did they call you?
they
James?
just. No, they didn't call me Chubb, I think they called me fat,
Okay, well,
or they said that I'm trying to make Kramer look bad. So I'm calling my role.
you
so
haven't
I
made
said
it until you've been
Kramer.
called jobs.
You're Chubb, I'm just making.
name calling.
All right, so with that said. I lost my agenda.
Just one little thought, one little thing about snow plowing in the town of Peshtigo. I don't know, how many are in here were residents of the town of Peshtigo back in the sixties, early seventies?
How many were alive back in the 60s?
How many remember when the county came through about 3 days after a heavy snowstorm with the big auto cars with the big plow in the front and the double wings? 2 to 3 days after a snowstorm to plow you out. That's when you had something to bitch about, when you couldn't go nowhere for 3 days.
Well, I can tell you most of the bitches, the people that called me, lived on a county road.
Yep,
I drive school bus out there every morning and I drove Thursday to and from school and I had no problem and did not feel I was unsafe on the road driving. My wife won't go nowhere when there's snow on the road, which makes me happy. But it's winter time in northern Wisconsin. It's gonna snow and you can't clean it off every single day of the week. Bus company, actually, Blaze will call me once in a while in the morning and ask me what the road looked like down there. He lived over on Highway B towards Marinette, and he'll ask me, what's it look like down below? I'm having no problems. There's snow on the road. There's packed snow on the road now. I drive in Grover. I drive in Little River. And I drive in the town of Peshtigo, and to me, they're all the same. They got snowpack on the road here and there. We gotta live with it. It's winter in Wisconsin. If you don't like this up here, last winter I was down in Arizona all winter, didn't have to worry about snow. It was beautiful.
Jody, you won't have any
Advocate
snow
Arizona.
in Florida, right?
Pardon, don't go to Texas though. It's freezing down there right now.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do with it. The hotel pipes are breaking, everything else.
okay.
Anyway, we done?
All right, upcoming meeting, Tuesday, February 20th at 7 PM. Motion
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I said.
I didn't get many hands when I said the 60s snow blowing, did I?